It started with a scream, one of those blood-curdling, window-rattling shrieks that made me think a coyote got into the chicken coop, or maybe Thor, my old German shepherd, finally tangled with a raccoon he couldn't handle. But then, right after the barking came the voice, a voice you don't forget, sharp and whiny enough to etch glass, yelling like she'd been murdered. That's when I realized something was seriously wrong. HOA. Karen had used a master key, walked straight into my house, and was now lying flat on her back, shoes kicked across the room, right in my living room, courtesy of my very surprised dog. Let me back up a sec. Just that morning, I'd been out on the porch, coffee in hand, Thor curled up at my feet, thinking how this little patch of suburbia was finally going to be the calm after the storm. 20 years in military K-9 ops, all I wanted was to fix up the garage garden a bit, maybe teach Thor to chase tennis balls instead of drug suspects. Peace, you know. But peace never sat well with people like Karen, who treated the HOA like her own little kingdom. Bylaws weren't guidelines, they were gospel. And if you didn't comply well, you became her hobby. It started small, as it always does. My mailbox was black. Not the approved colonial white, her words. Never mind, my place predated the HOA by decades. I was grandfathered in, but that just made me public enemy number one. She'd walk by phone out, snapping pics like she was the world's angriest real estate agent, muttering about fines and violations. Next, it was the hedges everyone trimmed on Thursdays, apparently, but I mowed on Sundays, which in Karen world was a sin. Then came the barking complaint. Thor barked one time at a delivery guy who nearly walked through the screen door. She filed a nuisance report so dramatic it read like a Law and Order script. But nothing prepared me for the day she let herself in. I'd been outside maybe 8 minutes adjusting the sprinkler. Thor's trained, he doesn't leave the house unless I say so. I came back to a locked door and a pit in my stomach. I'd barely processed what was happening when I heard that scream. I dropped the wrench, busted in, and there she was, arm flung over her eyes like some silent film damsel, clipboard clutched to her chest. One shoe under the recliner. My dog sitting next to her in perfect alert stance, just doing his job. "What in the hell are you doing in my house?" I yelled. Not proud of the volume, but if you've ever had your home invaded by a self-appointed dictator, you get it. Karen slowly sat up, brushed herself off, waved the clipboard like a magic wand. "Routine HOA inspection," she announced, like this was perfectly normal. "Security check. You didn't provide a key, so I used the master." "Master key," I shot back. "I never gave anyone a key. How'd you even get that?" She straightened her blouse and glared at Thor. "Standard HOA procedure." "Yeah, right. Your dog is dangerous. I was nearly mauled," she added, voice trembling. Thor didn't touch her. Never would she tripped over the umbrella stand, plain and simple. I pointed to the flipped stand and the security camera above the TV. "By the way, my house isn't even in your HOA. I'm exempt. You've got zero right to enter." For a second, she glanced up at the camera, panic flickering across her face before she doubled down. "You'll be hearing from our lawyer. That dog needs to be put down." That was it for me. I pointed at the door, told her to leave. She stormed out, shoes in hand, hair all wild, muttering about vicious attack animals. Thor watched her go, tail thumping, job done. That should have been the end of it, but nothing's ever simple when you're dealing with a person who thinks a clipboard and a title makes them God. I called my sister Lisa. She's a real estate lawyer, the kind that eats HOA bullies for breakfast. I sent her the security footage. By dinner, she was already drafting letters, and we'd had 3 voicemails from Karen. 1 apology, 1 threat, and 1 promise to file a restraining order against my dog. Lisa just laughed. "Let her. I'll countersue for trespass, fraud, and harassment." Next morning, just for fun, I posted a 30-second security clip on Reddit. Karen sneaking in, getting blocked by Thor, tripping like a drunk giraffe. Caption: HOA. Karen used a master key to break in, met my K-9 instead. By noon, 30,000 upvotes, hundreds of comments, people cheering on Thor, sharing their own horror stories, even offers to send him treats. The best comment: some fireman who recognized Thor from old K-9 drills. "That lady's lucky he's pure discipline. I thought that'd be the end. Maybe Karen would back down." Instead, I woke up to an orange citation zip-tied to my gate. $1, $250 fine for failure to comply with HOA emergency access protocols. No warning, No logic, just pure spite. By lunchtime, the HOA group chat was melting down. Somebody leaked a message where Karen claimed Thor lunged and pinned her to the floor, totally bogus, and the video proved it. Neighbors started asking if there really were master keys to their homes, if Karen had ever inspected their places too. Turns out, I wasn't the only one with a story. Miriam down the street wondered if that's how her jewelry box got opened during a routine check. Lisa called it a gold mine. She started digging. I posted a second video, clear as day. Karen walking in, no knocking, just strutting in, and Thor standing between her and the living room like a bouncer. The video doubled in popularity overnight, and someone even made a meme. Karen says brutally attacked camera, says she lost a fight with gravity. Then the news blog picked it up. HOA president invades home, blames dog for her trip. I didn't even know the blog existed, but the journalist called for comment. I sent them to Lisa, who went full lawyer mode. This HOA's made a mistake choosing fiction over facts. Karen, she doubled down. Held an emergency HOA meeting, mandatory attendance. I didn't go, obviously, but the neighbors who did recorded the whole thing. Karen standing up there, waving pictures of Thor, reading off a fake bite report with no doctor's signature. The room was almost buying it until Cole, the teenager next door, pulled up my Reddit video on the clubhouse projector. Dead silence as the truth played out in high def. When it ended, someone in the back started laughing. Another shouted, "You call that an attack?" Karen tried to shout them down, but the damage was done. The Emperor had no clothes and everyone saw it. Lisa, meanwhile, was on a roll. Filed a public records request. Found out Karen had unauthorized master keys to at least 7 houses. None of it approved by the board, some properties even occupied. Lisa sent it to the city. The city started investigating, and suddenly Karen was in way over her head. Mr. Davies, the retired vet who builds birdhouses, marched down the street with a copy of the city code, demanding to know how Karen had gotten a key to his place. She'd let herself in by mistake a few weeks back. She brushed him off, but word spread. By that afternoon, Karen slapped a bright red dangerous dog notice on my mailbox and faxed animal control, trying to get Thor declared aggressive. Officer Hernandez, who'd trained with Thor back in the day, showed up, watched the footage, petted Thor, and said if he was aggressive, she wouldn't have walked out. He left me his card and said the city was preparing to audit the HOA. Thor, meanwhile, was just happy for extra treats and belly rubs from neighbors stopping by to thank us for standing up to Karen. The night after the audit news broke, Miriam showed up with brownies, handed them over with a smile. "For the dog and for you. You started something good here." But Karen wasn't done. She started forging official-looking letters threatening fines and eviction, even claimed I was weaponizing a military-trained animal. Lisa tore them apart legally, sent cease and desist orders, and started preparing a civil suit. Karen pushed harder, editing the HOA bulletin herself, front cover cartoon of a giant black dog terrorizing a house. It was so over the top, people started openly laughing. Mr. Davies wrote an open letter calling for Karen's removal, posting it on every door in the neighborhood. Neighbors who'd been too nervous to say anything before started swapping stories. Karen had harassed them for everything from trash can placement to the color of their curtains. The final straw came at the community picnic, a public event where dogs had always been welcome. Karen posted signs banning aggressive animals, complete with a photo of Thor. I showed up anyway, Thor on a leash, and as soon as we walked in, half the crowd clapped. Someone even brought hero biscuits for him. Karen stormed over, screaming that we had to leave, but Miriam and the others stepped up. "Maybe it's time you left." Karen tried to argue, but her power was gone. By the time the city finished their investigation, Karen had been hit with a dozen formal charges: trespass, impersonation, misuse of funds, illegal entry, even audio recordings of her ordering the locksmith to make master keys under the table. The board voted her out, the audit froze her assets, and a new temporary committee took over. Life went back to normal slowly. Thor got a collar tag shaped like a badge. The local bakery started giving out Thor bark bars. And someone painted a mural of him at the park cape, fluttering Karen in the background, clipboard flying. Lisa got invited to speak at HOA reform events. Neighbors elected real leaders, and the whole master key policy was killed for good. A few weeks later, the city sent me and Thor a Certificate Civilian Guardian Recognition Award. The feds even called wanting to feature Thor in a K-9 partnership PSA. Yeah, that happened. We filmed a video about training community and standing up for what's right, and people from all over the country reached out, inspired to speak up in their own neighborhoods. Looking back, I can't say I ever wanted to be a hero. I just wanted peace, a place to put down roots, throw a ball for my dog, and not worry about someone with a clipboard barging into my life. But when someone like Karen picks a fight, tries to turn fear into power, you either roll over or you stand up and fight back. Now, the story's out there for everyone to see. HOA bullies aren't invincible, and sometimes the watchdogs aren't just four-legged. So what do you think? Where's the line between community and control, between safety and overreach? Did I do the right thing or go too far? Drop your thoughts below. Because trust me, this story's got people talking.